This video is about House 1 for the Origins Homestead Quilt. Here I'm doing Step 1, Section A. And here we have Step 2, Section B, aka the roof row. So this row can be a little bit tricky. So I'm just being careful to line things up properly. You can probably also tell that this is where it's important when you're cutting these templates out that you cut them really accurately, because if they're not cut accurately they will never line up properly. That looks good. Lines up nice and straight on the bottom. So getting these blue triangles in the exact right location can be a little bit tricky because there isn't a flat edge to line up. And so what you need to do is make sure that where the points of the blue triangle peek past the other piece, that you have a full 1/4 inch. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm better with pictures than I am with words. So here's what I'm talking about. The two edges line up on the right, and then the triangle is pulled up till it hits the 1/4 inch mark intersection with the other piece. And I've drawn in a blue pen line where you would stitch. I hope this helps. Okay, that looks great. So we have a 1/4 inch there above the point, which looks perfect. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so hopefully you can see this better. So if you look at the mat, you'll see that there's a 1/4 inch from the edge to where that point comes out and where it meets. You want a 1/4 inch there, then you know that your triangle is lined up properly. Just to peek at how I press these, I press them all the same direction. Okay, here we have Step 3, Section C. This is the doorway section. And you can see a little oops here. My door is a little bigger than it should be. So I'm just going to cut that down. Make a correction. Nothing too particularly difficult about this section. straight stitching rectangles. Here we have step 4, section D, which are the windows, the window wall of house number 1. And again, nothing too difficult about this. Okay, step 5, we're sewing together section A to the top of section B, the roof row. So here we're sewing section AB to the top of CD. In other words, we're sewing the roof section to the bottom of the house section in layman's terms. In contractor terms. No, just kidding. And this is the final step, step 6. We're sewing sky. So we're sewing 2 strips to either side, and we're sewing one strip to the very top. Here you can see the top, the roof strips are slightly shorter than the base of the house. I'm sure it's due to my inconsistent seam allowance. So I'm measuring it to see if I can trim it and even it up. It's supposed to measure 10.5 at this point, which it does. There isn't much to trim. So I'm going to go ahead and add these side pieces, and let's see how it comes out. You can be a little bit, well, I don't know, there's all kinds of rules, you know, but I am not a professional sewer. I am a professional designer, but I'm not a professional sewer. So I'd say I'm kind of an average quilter, actually. And so you may have different opinions on how to handle something like this. Here you can see it's just a little short, but there's probably more than 1/8 of an inch catching the short end. So I'm going to go with it. Now you may want to do it differently, so totally up to you. If I were to rip this apart and take it out, it's just the roof section. The chimney section was fine. The base of the house was fine. So when I was sewing those diagonals, I was so worried about lining them up, I may not have been so worried about my seam allowance there, and may have taken a little bit more generous 1/4 inch than I should have. I mean, it's kind of minuscule, but it does add up. So so you'll have to decide when you're making things and you come across something like this, how are you going to handle it? You can see how I handled it. So this is the final piece for this block. After this is sewn, we will press it and measure it and see how close we came to 12.5 inches unfinished. So it looks like we're good, 12.5 inches. It is a little uneven on the bottom, but there is room to trim that, so I'm going to even that up, and this block is done. So thanks again for watching. I hope this was helpful and pretty honest. So thanks again for purchasing my pattern. Happy sewing!